remember how when I was in high school, the Westboro Baptist Church was like the one thing that conservatives and liberals could agree on.
Yeah.
Because they hated the troops and the gays.
Yeah.
Essentially the two genders of 2006. But let's not pretend that the Westboro Baptist Church is all bad. Okay, when Megan was at Westboro, she used to do these amazing Lady Gaga parodies about how the gays are going to hell, which to this day, I am a big fan of.
Well, what did you say? You think I love show praying? He hates all you do cause you love fornicating.
Oh God, kill me!
It's perfect. I love it. Play it at every funeral.
Stop praying, I will not hear you anymore. You taught the boys and the girls to be proud whores. Forever burn. Go with the sponges, keep pushing on to the hell where you will forever burn.
This is
That's
so
the
fucking
Westboro
funny.
Baptist Church in 2012, after
That's
a
like
crisis
perfect
of
cringe.
faith precipitated by a power
Love it.
struggle within the church. We all love a good redemption arc, and I started my career de-radicalizing the alt-right. That's something I've moved away from, but there's still part of me that wants to see the best in people, and to believe that people can change if you just talk to them and make a good enough argument. Maybe my wishful thinking was that because Megan left Westboro,
That is true.
that must mean that she must
It is true that you can change people's opinions, but what I've learned in my life is you can only change people's opinions by like millimeters in a game that's miles long, basically. But you can have a conversation with someone who's, you know, this is like how I used to think of it at least. You can have a conversation with a person whose opinions are like here, and you might be here. You know, they're here and you might be here. But the only way to actually change their mind even slightly is to pretend that you're here. Basically, pretend you're like right here and convince them to go from here to here. That's the only way. That's the only way to actually influence a person realistically. You can move them from like here to here. But that's the only success. That's the only success I've ever had on changing people. And I do believe you can change people's opinions. I do believe you can push people in the right direction. You just can't make anyone go from here to you can't make anyone go from here to here. They have to go like and do that over and over again. But yeah, then they might just die slightly less of a bigot. Exactly. Then they'll like, yeah. Like realistically, you can get them from here to like, and then they're 90 years old and they die. You know? Like that's like kind of the...
understand the intricacies of anti-LGBT bigotry.
There's a limit to how far you can move a person, realistically.
And despite no evidence for this,
and we all know this to be true. We all know this to be true from our own lives as well. Like that we all change, and I assume everyone here gets more progressive. I hope so. Everyone gets more progressive as time goes on, generally speaking. Just as society moves in that direction as well. Like everyone tends to move in that direction as well. So we all know it's true from our own.
Could be really effective.
We all know it's true from our own lives. Usually, I think.
I'm not going to argue anymore about whether J.K. Rowling is transphobic, because anyone who believes in transphobia can see that obviously she is. The question now is whether transphobia is the sort of thing that progressives can denounce, the way we at least aspire to denounce racism, misogyny, and homophobia.
Right.
That's usually what we're talking about when we talk about J.K. Rowling, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's fair to cancel her. That's what the witch trials of J.K. Rowling is about. The Rowling debate is a proxy for a larger question.
Which is
transphobia a legitimate viewpoint worthy of polite consideration and respect in liberal, humane society?
Yeah.
Or
is it normal? Is it okay to be
justifiably react to?
Is it okay to just not like? Is it okay to dislike trans people? Is it valid?
About whether we can justifiably react to anything with scorn and condemnation. Is canceling ever warranted? Is it right to condemn racism, homophobia, and misogyny? Or
this is the question that like society hasn't settled on. We've settled on the question. While we're not perfect at it, I've said this before. While we're not perfect at it, we've settled our answer on whether or not it's okay to be racist. And we've settled our answer on whether or not it's okay to be homophobic. And we've settled our answer on whether it's okay to be sexist. And the answer we've settled on is no to those things. However, what we argue about is this racist? Is this sexist? Is this homophobic? That's where the that's where the arguments happen. Is it homophobic to say X? Is it sexist to call a woman a bitch? Are these actually like instances of it? But we all agree, whether or not like we are actually being, you know, homophobic or not, we all agree that it's bad to be those things. Generally speaking, I would say we all, but for the most part, society is settled on that question. But society is actually genuinely not settled on the question of, is it even possible to be transphobic? And is it bad to be transphobic? And because that question isn't settled, it means that people will be transphobic to an infinite amount, and it's not like it's not actually like good optically to call them transphobic. Like that's kind of the problem, is calling someone transphobic doesn't win you optics points. To see, like, being labeled a transphobe should be like what's a good example? If it came out tomorrow that a big fucking actor was like a fucking like a member of the fucking KKK, that actor is never getting hired again. But if it comes out tomorrow that a big actor is like literally like part of like an anti-trans movement, it's not like, I think it used to be 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I think it was pretty obvious that people would like lose their job for that shit. But now there's a debate about it. That's where people like JK fucking started, is having a debate about whether people should lose their jobs for being transphobes. That was literally the instigating factor. Someone didn't get fired. I forget her name. She didn't get fired. She had her contract not renewed. So they chose not to hire her again because of her being a transphobe. And that was the instigating factor for fucking all of like 90% of that was JK's first fucking movement into the being a transphobe online thing. I agree. I don't know if Gina Carano would have been let go from Star Wars today either. I actually don't know. I don't know either. Because the pendulum has swung back in a way. It was swinging, and it's swung back in the wrong direction of progress, though.
Of ideas, where we can all sit around debating the legitimacy of gay marriage or the possible merits of a white ethno-state. Is the final solution a myth promulgated by the international Jew? Are yoga pants to blame for sexual violence? Wouldn't the taxpayer save a lot of money if there weren't so many disabled people? Who knows? These are open questions. Let's sit down with people on both sides, on many sides, and have calm, civil conversations about it for the rest of our goddamn lives. Chapter 5, Debate.
But you have to win.
Sorry, I know I did this.
You have to, like, the kind of the fucking issues, you have to win the argument on whether transphobia is real in order to, like, progress further. Which is, well, I don't know if you have to, but it feels like you have to.
Before, and it's like not related
to even progress further.
At all.
It's you have to convince people that it's real. But what I understand is the only way that happens, sorry for talking so much, but the only way that really happens is through real life interactions with human beings. And the issue with that is that takes a long time, because you can see the increase in like LGBT identifying people in younger age groups. And what happens is it's so much harder to be a bigot when you know a person. as funny as it is, the fucking, like, I think I might have said this exact thing on stream before, but like, the whole like, oh, people don't want to be bigots if they can put a face that they care about to their own bigotry. So what happens is, like, over time, the population will get gayer. And I don't mean like they'll actually become more like homosexual. I mean they'll like identify more with LGBT groups and stuff, and it'll become more visible, and more people will come out about these and speak about them. And eventually, you won't just have one person that you don't like. Sorry, how do I word it? Eventually, everyone will know a person. Like, okay, here's a good way. At this point in time, every single person knows a gay person, or a lesbian, or bisexual, or probably everyone knows one of the three. Everybody knows a gay person. Everybody has a gay person in their family. Everyone. Everyone knows a queer. Everyone has a gay friend, or a gay cousin, or a gay, like, uncle or nephew or brother or sister or everyone knows a gay person. But not everyone knows a trans person. Depends on where you live, I agree. But like, even in conservative areas, people generally still, like, you have to get really, really far right in terms of areas to have no gay people at this point. But at the current moment, not everybody knows a trans person. But once everybody knows a trans person, it becomes way harder, because now it's not, well, I don't have a problem with gay people. I think they should just keep it to themselves. Now it's no longer that, it's my cousin is gay. I don't have a problem with gay people. And my cousin who's gay has a really nice boyfriend. And I don't know why they shouldn't be allowed to get married. They both love each other, just the same way that I love my good Christian husband. So that person who would have been anti-gay if they didn't know a gay person is no longer anti-gay in the same way. The issue with this process is this process takes a long fucking time, because it literally relies on the shifting of age and demographic changes over a long period of time. And in the meantime, trans people are fucking suffering. And it's like a tough sell to trans people to say, just hang in there, it'll be better for the next generation. Have I met anyone who hasn't met a trans person? Like pre-transition, I didn't know a single trans person. I didn't know a single trans person pre-transition. I was the first trans person I ever knew. I mean, not to say that I hadn't like encountered a trans person, but I didn't know a trans person at all. And anyone that interacted with me, not anyone that interacted with me, but the majority of people that knew me when I transitioned, I was the first time they'd ever even encountered a trans person in their life. I missed your joke? Oh. I mean, I kind of got it, but I meant pre-transition, and I took your joke literally. But I got where you were going with it, but I didn't, like, I engaged with it seriously, so, sorry.
So Megan Phelps Roper's viewpoint seems to be that scorn and condemnation are never
Anyway,
we should approach every conflict with empathy and compassion, even when dealing with the worst, most destructive people in the world.
Hi, my name is Megan, and my heretical belief is that even the people who seem to be the worst, most destructive people in the world are human beings who deserve compassion and empathy if we want to find a way to change their minds.
In her book, in her TED Talk.
The problem with this is that is true if you want to change their minds, but it only changes their minds a fraction of a fucking inch. So yeah, you want to be compassionate to people to change their minds, but like most people don't want to change the mind of a person like that much. Like the only people that want to change someone's mind are people that are close to them because they have to interact with them fucking daily. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's just, The people that want compassion for Nazis are the former Nazis. That's the reality. People that want compassion for Nazis are former Nazis, right? That's the reality of the situation, because they want compassion themselves. So they want Nazis to be treated compassionately because they want to be treated compassionately. That's that's how it works, basically. Yeah. But it's not that there's no real problem with that in terms of the interaction between humans, if that makes sense. Like, you don't have, you're not owed compassion to any other person, and a person that wants to give compassion to another person, it doesn't have to be told to not give that compassion. It's just whatever, you know? It's just whatever people decide to do at the end of the day. Like, it's, there's no necessarily right or wrong thing. Anyway, I'm talking too much over the video. Let's go back to Diablo 3.
Megan expresses the idea that this is sense if you assume that Megan is the main character of reality. If you assume that the moral improvement of bigots is more important than protecting the people they target. Or if you assume that changing bigots' minds is the only way to make social progress. Which it isn't. As far as I know, Anita Bryant is 83 years old, and she's still homophobic. And even without Anita's blessing...
The reality is that, like, when you sign up to be... The reality is, you have to go into these things understanding that it's predictable. That's the word I love. That's my favorite word to use, is calling things predictable. If you make a statement that is, like, against a group of people... there is a very predictable reaction that you will receive from that group of people. It's predictable. And you have to go in understanding the predictable outcomes. And if you go into the situation understanding the predictable outcomes, then you don't get surprised by it. And there's no real, it's at that point, it's just a system of interacting cogs. And there's not really like a, you don't have to get like that if someone is gonna be a bigot online, it is predictable that the group of people that they're being a bigot towards will get mad at them. Even if a person who's being a bigot to a group of people online doesn't think that they're being a bigot, it's still predictable that the group of people that think that they're being a bigot to them will predictably get mad at them, if that makes sense. It's all so it's just it's weird to tell people oh yeah, the best way to change people's mind is to be nice to them, but don't be mean to them, because that's not understand that if you're gonna go and say spew shit online, you're gonna get a predictable reaction from it, and just understand that before you do it, and be aware of that. And then accept that that's what's going to happen, and then do it, but don't complain when you understand what's going to happen.
Have still somehow managed to progress since the 1970s, because.
But the only way that it can be done that way is if it's two groups of people that have absolutely no. It's so stupid.
This is how it should be. Just two people sharing ideas, learning
it's so
different point of
stupid
views
because
from
neither
each
of these people have any emotional grounding in this
Joe Rogan
conversation.
beautifully asked the tough questions, and Ben answers honestly.
And that's
He
the
is strong in
problem.
his faith. I
That's
love
the
this
problem.
debate because it's two so contrasting views and they have a civil conversation. Great learning.
And yeah,
You don't learn
it's easy
anything
for
from
two
it.
straight men to have a dispassionate theoretical conversation about the ethics of homosexuality, because it's not their lives and their relationships that are up for debate.
Yeah,
These
and you
people
don't learn
understand
anything
the
from it because you
emotional
have
burden placed on marginalized people,
and you
who are
have to
asked
learn about the
defend their
emotions.
rights.
If you don't learn
if
about the
you're straight,
emotional
do you
aspect, you
have
don't
to
understand it.
debate whether your marriage is
That was my
valid,
issue when I
and
was,
your
a lot younger.
claim that penetrative heterosexual intercourse.
When I was a lot younger, I used to literally go. I'd be on I'd be on incel fucking Reddit, and I would argue with people about trans stuff when I was this is years and years ago, of course, pre even thinking I was trans. But I'd argue about it without the emotional core to it, and I'd just argue about it from haha, facts and logic say that trans people are, not like that literally, but essentially, look at this, look at all these studies that say that trans people are valid. Look at all these studies that say that trans people transitioning is good for their mental health. Look at all these studies that say that that trans people see significantly improved outcomes from gender affirming surgery. So why, and then I'd be like, why are you so anti-science, lol? And that was how I would argue with people when I was younger. But there was no emotional core to that. There was no emotion to it. There was no understanding of why I didn't have a trans friend. I didn't get how transphobia hurt people at all. I just knew that the numbers said it was good to let trans people be trans. That's all I knew. It's like the numbers said that it was the correct thing to do to let trans people be trans. And I wasn't going to disagree with the numbers. But that's an okay way to argue as an unaffected party, but it speaks nothing. It speaks to nothing about what it actually means to be trans.
Violence. I've noticed describing the mascot as ideological, creepy, and gaslighting. I cannot express how upset I feel. The library jumped in to clarify that Tala, not Talia, isn't trans. They are an alien. Maya then demanded to know how this alien was birthed. Did it hatch from an egg, or was it born from a mama? Some people tried to reason with Maya. There's an advantage in having a character that isn't identifiably male or female, as it can be equally relatable to either sex and avoid promoting gender stereotypes. But Maya was not convinced. It seems highly unlikely that an alien that had evolved with such recognizable vertebrate body plan is not sexually reproducing. It's a relatable anthropomorphic character.
She wants to know how the alien fucks. She wants to know how the alien fucks.
Know how the alien fucks right now. I said I needed to know how the alien fucks before I can show it to my child. When Twitter understandably laughed it up at Maya's expense, she just kept posting. And she posted hard. Honestly, I don't know if I've ever seen anyone post so hard.
Pronouns are like Rohypnol. They dull your defenses. They change your inhibitions. They're meant
Pronouns are like Rohypnol?
Trans-exclusionary radical feminism
What?
began as an offshoot of far-left lesbian separatism, with academic feminist Janice Raymond
Pronouns are like
1979
Rohypnol.
that transsexualism should be morally mandated out of existence.
Pronouns?
The gender-critical movement.
I always find it so funny how much the people hate the pronouns as their scapegoat.
Taking women's fear and
I always find that really funny, actually.
and displacing it.
Hello. Wow, what a video. That was a good video. Welcome back, everyone. That was a really good video. I like that one. She made quite a few good points on how to deal with these people. I don't think she did. Not to say she made bad points, necessarily. I don't think she had a strong solution, I guess. But I don't think she needs to have a strong solution, because these problems have been looping for decades. So I don't imagine this solution to be figured out. But the problem is that just letting history unfold as it usually would. Just letting history play out, or the world play out as it usually would, as the cycle continues each time, and we are stuck in the fucking simulation apparently, and we keep having the same things happen over and over again, is one solution, but it's probably not the best solution. My takeaway from watching the video is that we're in trouble because the current battleground for way too much shit, the current battleground is trans issues. And we have two groups of people, basically. Not two groups of people, but we have two groups of people, right? And there's two groups of people that have an equal investment into this argument. Essentially. Paint stream. I love paint. So there's two groups of people that have an equal investment. If we do a fucking a graph, okay? You know? And this is investment. Investment, okay? And all the way over here, we have, you know, well, we can just do like a little box like this, okay? And this is the trans. Okay? This is the trans, okay? And let's say we go here. And we say this is the LGBTQ. That's such a terrible color, okay? And they have slightly less investment than the transes have in this argument, okay? And then we have what we're just going to collectively refer to as, in this kind of shape. I think we'll do red for this, and we'll do this kind of shape, okay? And we'll use a fill here, and we'll fill this one in. And we'll call this normies, okay? And then over here, we're gonna call it turfs. And then in, I don't know, we'll do like this like lighter blue color. And over here, and these are Republicans / conservatives. And these are people who are trying to get elected, basically. Not how a bar graph works? I know what you mean. I'm just trying to show, like, this is the amount of investment, okay? And whatever, okay? I know it's a weird graph. The one on the left in purple is trans people. The problem is Republicans have made this trans debate their platform for election. So they have the most investment in it because they've made it their platform to get elected. Trans people are included in the T in LGBT, but I'm separating trans people from just all LGBT people because trans people are the people most invested, but they're still, yeah. So the people most invested in this argument on the we'll say this is the, you know, this is the bad side, bad, and this is the good side, okay? Are the Republican lawmakers who are trying to get elected, and they want to get elected on the platform of trans people. They want to get elected on gay panic, basically, or trans panic, or whatever, you know? And the people that are most invested on this side are trans people, because they're the people, and of course, and also, you know, all of LGBT people in general as well. But this is the most invested on this side, is this group. But the problem is, when it comes to election season isn't these two groups versus each other. The problem is, when it comes to election season, it's this group here, which is Dems, versus this group. And the Dems have way less investment than the Republicans in this, like, point. So I guess the way I feel about it is, I feel like it's in terms of election victory, it's very important that people understand how to deal with this strategy from the Republicans. This is the part that I find, like, from watching the video, is like, people need to understand how to deal with this, not just as transphobia, which it is, But people need to understand how to deal with this as an election strategy, because I do not want to see like Republican people winning in politics on the back of this. I want to see Democrats win in this area. And there has to be a good strategy for them. And I don't know what that strategy is. Truthfully, I don't know what that strategy is, what the electoral strategy is for fighting against Republicans on this angle. Because they're ready to fucking lose it all. Like Republicans are ready to lose it all on trans people. They are all in on shitting on hating us. Like they're all in on it. So I'm not sure what the strategy is to win that argument. Not paying attention is, I don't know. I feel like that was the takeaway I took maybe from the Contra video, is like spend less time against TERFs and spend more time focused on the Republican lawmakers, I guess. But I don't know. I don't know what the strategy is. I just don't want to see the progress that we've made for people go the opposite direction. I wanted to keep moving in this direction. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of zoned out on the blush part of the video. I kind of zoned out for that. I think there were a couple things J.K. Rowling said that were true, but I don't know if they are, sorry, not J.K., Contra said that were true, but also I don't know if they flowed naturally in the video. At least I had trouble following the train of thought, I guess. I guess at some points I had issues following the train of thought that Contra had. I don't know if it flowed naturally, but I think she said true things in some parts. Just, it felt like it wasn't a natural progression of a video. Like one thing she said about women as the devil is actually really true. It is super true. It's something I was taught in school. I was taught it in my gender studies class in school. It's very, very common for the face of particularly older women to be used as the face of evil. Like you see it in Disney all the time. Who are the Disney villains, you know? The evil stepmother. It's the evil older woman is the face of the, you know? And that's where the witch comparison comes in, even, because even like the evil witches, you know? Mother Gothel, in you know? This woman. She's evil. She's the evil witch. Where's the other evil witches? Maleficent. Evil witch. So many evil witches. And particularly evil older women. And it is a lot easier to make women your evil villain, because there is an inherent advantage to picking a woman as a target in a lot of ways. It is easier to gang up on a woman and paint her as an evil person than it is to gang up on a man. And we know this to be true. Not to say that J.K. Rowling is a victim, but it is easier to gang up on J.K. Rowling than it is to gang up on a man, I would say. Just because, like, well, you know, we all think of it like it's part of the reason that we needed feminism in the first place, right? Because there are issues that happen with like the disadvantages that women face and stuff. So we know it to be true. I don't even feel like I explain it correctly, but I think we know intuitively it's true that it's easier to target like it's easier to fight against women than it is to fight against men, you know? So I get why. I get the point Contrapoints is making when she says that. I guess I just didn't feel like it was a natural progression of the video to kind of segue into that, I guess. It's a lot easier to attack, yeah. But unfortunately, yeah, maybe that's the best way to put it. Women are perceived as frail and less likely to fight back. So I just think that there's something legitimate there, but I don't know if the solution is to not like gang up on J.K. Rowling for being a bigot and stuff. I don't think that's what she's trying to say, is don't gang up, like don't be mean to J.K. Rowling. I don't think that's what she's saying. Maybe just saying be aware of it. Be aware, maybe. Don't harass her, she literally said this. Well, I guess what I mean is harassing is the love hormone, I see. I would probably say don't harass, in the sense of like, I don't think it's a good idea to send like death threats and stuff. I don't think that's a good idea for a couple of reasons. I think the number one reason it's not a good idea is because it doesn't seem to be super effective. It seems to just give people fuel to galvanize their followers. But I don't know. I don't know what the solution is to someone like J.K. Rowling. Does giving her no attention do anything to stop her? I don't think so. Does giving her attention do anything to stop her? I don't think so. So I think the correct question is, how do you respond to her in the way that depowers her and empowers yourself the most? But I don't know the answer to that question. And that's like the challenge, I guess, is how do you respond most effectively to another person? And I don't know, nobody really knows the answer. And there's not like one good way to respond effectively to a person, I guess. There's like numerous ways, but I don't know. I feel like bigots tend to victimize themselves with the smallest thing and project themselves onto the oppressed. I think so too. I just think like, at the end of the day, there's too much on the line for trans people and just queer people in general to like fuck this up. There's like way too much on the line for us to fuck it up. So it's too important that we get it right, which means it's natural to like be nervous, I guess, or to be concerned. There's just too much on the line for us. I don't know. It's frustrating. I don't know what the answer is. Unfortunately, I don't know what the answer. My solution that I find that works well is, I think that trans joy is a good tool for persuading people. I think one thing that's really effective in my mind is, as trans propaganda, pro-trans propaganda, one thing that's really effective is trans women and their mothers, or trans men and their fathers together. I find that to be really emotionally compelling trans propaganda. I say propaganda because I say that in the sense of the point of it is to affect the minds of people and push them towards accepting trans people. But I don't mean that it's falsified, if that makes sense. Like, it can be very real, but it's very effective. But yeah, like, one of the best ways I respond to people who are being bigots is, like, I say, like, my mother loves me. That's, like, one of the best ways for me to respond to bigots is, like, my mum loves me and accepts me as trans. And I think maybe if I want to help with trans rights stuff, maybe I'll produce that. Maybe I'll go take photos with, unironically, maybe I'll take photos with my mum to progress trans rights in my own way. Maybe that's one way I can help, because my mum does love me. So maybe that'll be my strategy to help people.